Good evening and welcome back to Be Rich. And I'm here to discuss this week with Sashwath. Vinod is in Bangalore, so I am replacing Vinod for some time here. So Sashwath has come up with a good concept. He's actually decided that we can buy Japanese stocks. I've been saying this for a long time. Only thing I couldn't find a way to do it till recently. And then when I was screaming at the top of the voice, Buffett uncle went and bought stocks and now he's increased it by his percentage to 9.9%. The primary fundamental problem which I am worried about Japan still exists. Japan is too much of a homogeneous state. It's not becoming heterogeneous, it's not allowing migrations in. Even if it allows migrations in, the people of Japan are not assimilating with the others who are coming there. That's a problem. And the Japanese birth rates are frighteningly low. So that, like the Parsis of Bombay, may vanish one day, that threat exists. But the other issues which were keeping Japan back for nearly 40 years have begun to vanish. Because of their ultra loose monetary policy, they have finally made progress and there is sustained inflation in Japan. And at the first sign of inflation, the central bank has not rushed to slay inflation. They are still stroking the market with very low interest rates, which has meant that the Japanese yen is very low and it will continue to be low for some time. They are not reversing the process. That means, like in the 80s and 70s, made in Japan might become more popular. You may have Sony's and the Sanyos and the Epsons of the world come from Japan. Japan has gone through nearly 35 years of depression, the longest I've ever seen. Even in the Great Depression, the prices were low only for 25 years. The level at before the 1929 bubble, US went past that Dow Jones rate in 1954. Even today, as I speak to you, as I am optimistic, more people are optimistic about Japan. They have not yet gone past the 1990 levels. So one should look at investing in Japan. How? And I hope that Japan survives. I have had too much of my. Today, you know me as a great Buffett fan or a Soros fan. My original hero was Akio Morita of Sony. It was one of my greatest it's a great sadness to me that Sony is in the state it is today and not the preeminent player that it was when I was a child. And I'm not the only one. Even Steve Jobs felt that and said that it's a tragedy that Sony is where it is today. But Sony has a lot of patents. Most of what you see in digital cameras is Sony's. And Sony makes a lot of revenues and a lot of components in cameras are coming from Sony. And Sony owns Columbia Pictures. But we are not discussing Sony today. We are here to discuss what is going right for Japan. What do you think, Sashwath?
So there are a few things which compel us to believe that Japan is on its recovery path. And it's not even that Japan is making up what it's lost. We believe that the pendulum might swing the other way. Cautiously so. This is a cautious assumption. Now, these are some of the reasons. One, the Japanese economy has successfully unlinked itself in terms of its cycle from what's happening outside of Japan. As you see with Europe, which is flirting with deflation and flirting with lower economic output, you see Europe is flirting with lower output and de-economic growth and economic degrowth. And we see that USA is only very slowly growing. And we see all the central banks, be it in Europe or the US, we see that these central banks are raising rates. But the Japanese economy is saying something completely different. The Japanese central bank has consistently kept rates low, and it has also increased inflation in the country. And now inflation stands at 3%, which is mind-blowing for Japan because they've been struggling to get any form of inflation for the past 2 decades at least. So that is something good for Japan. And the inflation news is of much more significance because a mild level of inflation, as my uncle's famous adage, which is that it's like taking a shower with lukewarm water. You don't want very warm water where you burn your skin, nor do you want cold water where it freezes you and you don't feel like taking a shower. You want lukewarm water, and that's where Japan is, and that's conducive for economic growth. But what it also meant is that Japan's yen, which is a currency which responds to interest rates, has depreciated a lot. And the yen depreciating has, in fact, turned out to be a positive for Japan because now the domestic demand plays a huge role because of inflation and because of loose money. But also, exports have become a big part of Japan's economic output because when interest rates are low compared to interest rates rising abroad, what ends up happening is that money flows from outside the yen to other currencies like the dollar or the euro. So the yen has become devalued, and this means that now Japanese goods are cheaper for those sitting abroad. So this has meant that exports have increased, and that is a positive signal for Japan. Number two also is that Japan's economy has historically been undervalued in most portfolios because there was supposed to be no Japanese growth story post the bubble. But that is not true anymore because now we see that the economy is on the mend, and we also see that exports are doing well for Japan and things are starting to turn. And as the pendulum went to the other side, now it has to come back to where it was before. So this might be Japan's retribution and vindication to a large extent.
No, I do not know what is retribution and vindication. Of course, next 10 years we are going to make a lot of money, if I am right, on the Japanese stock exchange.
Yes.
But like I said before,
And one more thing I want to add, like how his obsession with Sony, I have an obsession with Nintendo. And Nintendo is an age-old Japanese company which used to make playing cards in the 20th century, and then they went on to making electronics, and then the first Mario game. And he and my other uncle grew up with these Mario games, and now I play those Mario games. I don't have an Xbox, nor do I have a PlayStation 4. All I do is play Nintendo. So I have a huge obsession with Japanese culture, bonsai, koi fish, and so on and so forth. So if you find us very favorable for Japan compared, you might be saying you are battering all these other countries, but when it comes to Japan, you and your mentor Warren Buffett are so optimistic about it. It's because culturally we align a lot with Japanese
yes.
culture.
And I hope to go to Japan in August. I hope to see for me myself firsthand. But of course, Japan is truly an inspiring country for me. When I was growing as a young kid, and we wanted to be like the Japanese, we wanted India to be like Japan. Unfortunately, we could not do the labor reforms, so we became a service of superpower. But Japan is what Rajan would like India to be today, is because the Americans invented the transistor. But the guys who really put the transistors to good use first
Japan.
was Sony and Japan. And only when they realized that the Japanese were beating them at their own game in memories, when it came to making processors, very late in the late 80s or early 90s, the Americans took back
Yes.
that lead. Let's hope that Japan does some magic.
And we always are rooting for Japan, even though we are Indians. We definitely believe that Japan is on the mend. But that being said, we also believe that economic indicators, there are a lot of tailwinds which are for Japan. And one may even consider that there are more tailwinds than headwinds. And what bigger of a tailwind, I'd like to ask my uncle, than Warren Buffett believing that Japan has potential?
That's a huge plus. That's going to push a lot of smart money into Japan.
Yes, and the kind of money which follows Warren Buffett is the kind of money of viewers following this channel, where we're all obsessed with the long term, and this is capital which we won't withdraw at the first sign of trouble.
So this is good news for Japan. I hope that Japan makes it good.
Let's exercise cautious optimism.
Cautious optimism is the word. Small amounts of money in Japan in the right company. Look at valuations. We have not made any recommendations and we have not checked valuations in Japanese companies yet. Thank you for watching Be Rich. I hope you like this content. If you do like this content, encourage us by liking this video, writing your comments, subscribe to our channel, turn on the bell notification. You have done all this. Send this video to your friends and relatives and ask them to take a look. Once again, I thank you for your support for Be Rich.
Thank you.
I am in Tokyo on work on the 5th of August 2023. I have a lot of following in Japan, Tokyo. Those who want to meet me in Tokyo on 5th August, kindly drop me an email on the address given below or contact us on WhatsApp there. My team would get in touch with you and facilitate the meeting. Once again, I thank you for your support for Be Rich. It's a great privilege and honor that so many of you in thousands have subscribed to my channel and have supported me. I have written 2 books in English, The Alchemy of Money and Ordinary Stocks, Extraordinary Profits. These books are published by us and are ready. If you want to procure a copy, send us a message to the WhatsApp number given below and my team would respond to you. If you want an Amazon Kindle copy, you can click the link below. Finally, those who wish to consult with me can send a mail to berichenglish@gmail.com. Once again, I thank you for your support. If you like this video, press the subscribe button of my channel, hit the like button and turn on the bell notification.